Getting ready to go. What? Getting ready to go. I said, getting ready to go. What in the world are they talking about? Okay, back in the early 90s, there was a movie called Single White Female starring Bridget Fonda and Jennifer Jason Leigh. And in the movie, Bridget Fonda has a boyfriend, and Jennifer Jason Leigh is Bridget Fonda's roommate who starts to become a bit obsessed with Bridget. And she ends up getting her hair cut just like Bridget's and colored the same way and starts wearing the same clothes as Bridget Fonda. And one time when they're having a bit of a strained part of their relationship, she decides to sneak around Bridget Fonda's boyfriend and disguised as Bridget Fonda. And she gets in bed with him and starts giving him head. And right before he's about to ejaculate, she lets herself out from under the covers long enough for him to realize that it's not his girlfriend like he thought it was, but in fact it's his girlfriend's roommate. And there's a sort of silent moment where, she's sort of, are you going to stop me or should I finish you? And he basically doesn't stop her, so she finishes him off. And when I've mentioned this scene to my male friends, and I say, would you have stopped her? The reaction is more or less universal, which is basically no, because hey, she was already sucking my dick anyway, you might as well finish. That's the sort of attitude in a nutshell that get from so many guys when I mention this. But when I talk to my women friends about it, I get a much different reaction. I mean, basically, if a woman thinks that she's got a certain guy between her legs and then he puts his head back and she finds out it's somebody else, I don't care how close she is to coming, she's almost certainly going to smack that guy in the face. You know? Um, what? Seriously, get the hell out. So I think what's implied by that is for fellas, it can be, there's a certain point in the build up to an orgasm, which, after which is more or less a mechanical function and, emotional state be damned, it's going to happen, or you want it to happen so badly that almost nothing will deter it from happening after a certain point of arousal. Um, and I think that's much less mechanical with women. I think the emotional or intimate connection is, much more integral to their ability to let the mechanical thing happen. I mean, you can be very, very good with what you're doing, either with your mouth or with your fingers or whatever else, but if your woman is not in the right mood, nothing's going to happen. And this is the thing about, uh, orgasms and sex in general that, I don't hear people talking very much about. But and for fellas, basically, it comes up to the point of arousal. I mean, my mood will definitely affect whether or not I can become aroused. But once I become aroused, everything's usually fine. So I think the mechanics of it, I think, are fundamentally different, and I think that can lead to an awful lot of misunderstandings between the sexes as regards, orgasm politics as it's, being discussed. And I do think, speaking for myself, I have to answer my own questions now. Yeah, it definitely matters to me that my partner has an orgasm, for sure. I don't feel like a failure if she doesn't, but chances are, we're not going to have sex anyway unless she has had an orgasm already, because I love foreplay as my favorite part of sexual experience. And so basically, I usually don't even have penetrative sex with someone unless she's already had one or two orgasms. So for me, I prefer to have sexual experiences like that aren't just all about wham bam thank you ma'am, but we spend some time on each other. Even if I'm being with someone in a less than, permanent sense, I mean, if it's someone that I'm just, having s- casual sex with or whatever, I still want to make sure that, there's no regrets on either side. It's important to me. And there's also, I suppose, a bit of ego that goes into it. I mean, every guy likes to think that he can rock someone's world if he wants to. But to be honest, it's not, chemistry has to be there. When I talk to lots of guys who say, "Oh, I can get anyone off." Well, you can get people off who want to sleep with you, yeah. But I mean, if the chemistry's not there, even if their will is there to have sex, if the chemistry's not there, it's just not going to happen. Um, there is not, uh, any sort of guarantees when it comes to, I mean, not everyone is mechanical. Some people can be, mechanically manipulated to orgasm more or less, regardless of their state of mind, but I don't think that's very common. I think pretty much, and especially for women, there has to be an emotional, readiness and openness and some level of trust or some kind of intimate regard for there to really be that kind of boom, earth-shattering, fucking everything is different. Oh my God, I can't believe I've never felt like this kind of feeling that you get every time they have it. You think, oh, I've never felt like this before, that kind of thing. Anyway, but yeah, it is definitely important to me, and it always has been. And unfortunately, that can sometimes get in the way because you want the experience to be as organic and natural as possible, and you don't want to have to think too much about what you're doing. But thankfully, the older you get and the more experience you get, you don't have to think about it. Things tend to flow pretty well. And that's what I want to say as well. The older you get, the better sex gets. And that's my personal experience. And it seems to be the same for most of the people that I talk to. And it makes sense, I mean, practice makes perfect, right? Anyway, it's got that funk. I'm probably running out of time, so I'm going to stop it here. I'm probably going to talk more about this subject later in the week. And until then, thanks for watching, and may all your ups and downs have a satisfying conclusion.